Hey, Dave with Align Therapy here. I wanted to talk about another simple and easy exercise for those dealing with scoliosis and kyphosis. These exercises are fairly simple and easy to do and don't take a whole lot of time. They don't take a whole lot of equipment either. So that makes them a little bit easier so that you can do those at home and there's not a whole lot of ways to mess these up. So you still have to be careful of what you're doing, and if you're having pain or you have a significant curve or a complex spine, I would check with a Schroth therapist or a scoliosis specific exercise physical therapist to make sure that you're doing things correctly and that you're not creating issues. But these exercises are exercises I give my chronic back pain patients as well, and you just have to do them controlled and do them with good form. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out the other videos. This is number 7 of our 10 exercise series with scoliosis simple exercises. And so hopefully it's helpful. Let's get to it. So this exercise is, we call it a multifidus walkout or a Pallof or a Pallof exercise to increase stability of the core muscles without having rotation into the spine. We work the muscles of rotation, but we're not rotating the spine. One thing to think about, rotation is one of the things that it injures or irritates the spine the most. So like if you have a disc problem and you have 2 vertebrae that are on a disc and you do a lot of like Russian twists or something like that that creates a lot of rotation at the spine, you can really irritate the back. You can really irritate those areas of the spine. The spine is fairly vulnerable with rotation, and so we want to work those rotatory muscles, those muscles that really increase strength in rotation, but we don't want to do it in a way that we have a lot of movement that's going to irritate things. If we think about scoliosis specifically, when you have a scoliosis spine that has multiple curves, you have transition points of those curves. Even with a single curve, you have a transition point. Those transition points are more vulnerable to the rotation that happens with the scoliosis curve. So we have rotation one direction in one curve and the other direction in the other. So that those rotations create kind of a weak spot, a more vulnerable spot at that transition point with the scoliosis. So we don't want to do a ton of rotation and really stress that transitional segment. So just something to think about. That's why we're doing this in a way that doesn't stress the movement of rotation, but we want to work the rotation muscles. So I'm going to use just a resistance band for this. You can use a cable system like this to do this exercise. I'm just going to use this because it's easier to see. You can see the bright color, and you can use resistance bands, totally fine. So the lowest level way of doing this exercise, you're going to hold the band in front of you. You're going to take a couple of steps out like this, and then you're going to keep your core muscles tight. You're going to keep everything in good alignment. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you're going to hold this out in front of you, and then you bring it out further, and then you bring it back towards you a little bit more. So what's happening is this band wants to pull me this way into rotation. I'm using my muscles to counteract that so that we're not going into rotation. And as I put my arms out further, the torque on this band wants to pull me more, so there's more of a load on those muscles as I'm out further like this, and less of a load as I'm coming back like this. So the back muscles have to work to stabilize more as I'm going out like this. So doing that like 10 times or so, nice and slow. We're not doing this. Doing this doesn't increase stability that much, but going slower will really help to increase the stability of my spine. So I'm trying to stabilize and I'm trying to stay straight and not let the band rotate me. So if you look from the back, trying to keep my back nice and straight, I'm trying to stay tall and forward and back. So if you have a scoliosis, you probably have scoliosis if you're watching this, but you might have a pelvic imbalance. You might have rotation of your pelvis. You might have one shoulder blade that sits forward or back. All of those things, if you're doing this in front of a mirror, ideally, then you can correct for some of those things. So say I have a pelvis imbalance that shifts my hips to the left. If I'm out here like this and my hips naturally want to go to the left, I correct those and I stay nice and tall so I'm centered over my pelvis, and then I do the exercise. So this isn't just do this in and out. It's trying to create as much alignment as you can get while you go in and out like this. So then we get correction, some correction of the imbalance of the pelvis or of the shoulder. Say your right shoulder, which is very common, sits forward like this. You're looking in a mirror and you see that that's happening. Pull that shoulder back, stay tall, and then do the exercise. So watch for those imbalances. I can't cover all the imbalances that happen with scoliosis, but that's why it's important to work with someone who's trained in scoliosis to figure out where those imbalances are and to help you get an idea of how to implement or integrate these exercises into your normal routine. The way that I usually like to do this multifidus exercise is I'll have people start here with the band slack, and I'll have them go out or in just enough to provide good resistance. And then I'll have them sidestep or walk out like this and then walk back. So this is more dynamic. The hip muscles are working, so we get some strengthening in the abductors of the hip. And if you want to get more resistance, you just hold it out further, so there's more torque on the back muscles. And I have them do this with fairly significant resistance if they can tolerate it, because we want to work those muscles of stabilization. We want to work those muscles so that they're keeping our spine stable, and this is a great way to hit the multifidus, which is the muscle right at the low back that goes right against the spine. It's a great way to hit that multifidus without creating pain, without putting it in a vulnerable position where it's going to get irritated. So this is a great exercise to do for stability. It can be made to be a scoliosis type exercise if you're focusing on the asymmetries and the imbalances. Try it out. This shouldn't cause pain when you do it. If it does cause pain, stop and consult with a scoliosis specialist. But go gentle. Start with a gentle band, and you can work your way up to like a cable column or something like that. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it was, I mean, it's a fairly simple exercise. You can anchor this onto a doorknob or onto a railing or a small child, or no, just kidding, don't do that. But you can anchor it on something and do this exercise. I usually have someone walk about 10 times out and back and do that on both sides. Make sure you're doing that on both sides so you get strengthening on both sides. Remember, with scoliosis, both sides are weak for different reasons. So don't neglect one side and bias it to the other side. So don't forget to subscribe, watch for the other videos, and thanks for watching.